What up? Welcome back to Rethink. We made it through Easter.
I'm tired.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Yep.
6 services at Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
Wild weekend.
Yeah.
You guys flew.
We did, yeah. We got in last night at about 3:30 in the morning.
But you're from Vegas. You're used to like we don't even go to bed. Yeah, right?
Yeah. We have that Lionel Richie song on repeat in Vegas.
As you should.
Yeah.
As you should.
So when you flew into Denver at 3 o'clock, did it remind you of Vegas at 3 o'clock?
Absolutely not. In fact, it was rainy. The roads were empty. There was nothing open
McDonald's
for food.
is open. That's about it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then they shut their ice cream machine off at midnight.
Yeah,
so
it's
not
the
even,
worst.
Yeah, you can't eat. There's no point in going.
But it's not real ice cream.
But it's still delicious.
I left what do they call them there?
The McFlurry?
The McFlurry. I left mine in a truck one time, like for 2 days. I came back, it still had a swirl on it.
It's amazing.
It didn't melt.
Do you use the app? Oh, it's a game changer. I got 2 Big Macs for 50 cents the other day. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's a real good deal. Real good deal.
That's better than Chick-fil-A.
How are you alive? What?
Yeah. No, deal-wise, it's better
Deal-wise,
than
yeah.
Oh,
Food-wise, quality-wise, no way.
No way.
No, Chick-fil-A.
And if you love Jesus, it has to be your number one fast food restaurant.
Have you had the Frosted Key Lime yet?
No, I haven't.
I saw it on the sign.
It's a game changer.
I'm trying to cut weight right now. So
Me
I'm
too.
Not.
That's why I'm only drinking one a day.
I just had 2 Big Macs.
Yeah, and I've only had like 4 fast foods in the past week. That's
not true. You're lying on.
No, that's an upgrade. Usually it's like 8.
Yeah.
I didn't have it at all
What
yesterday.
are you drinking now?
Just coffee. Just some caffeine.
I thought you were off caffeine.
No, I get 1 cup a day.
That's it.
Yeah, I got 2 shots in it, but yeah, it's 1 cup.
2 shots of what?
of espresso.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
Why did you feel like you need to quit caffeine?
So I think I have adrenal gland failure. That's self prescribed, but I take a pre-workout that's pretty extreme.
Which you got me hooked on and then quit.
No, I didn't quit. I just gave it up for a little bit.
I have to have a physical Thursday.
Oh, woof.
I'm not drinking it.
Yeah,
my blood pressure will be like,
Yeah. So the pre-workout itself is 600 milligrams of caffeine, and then there's 90 milligrams in a cup of coffee, and I did the math on what I was drinking, a little bit over 2,000 milligrams a day. It wasn't affecting me anymore. I felt tired all the time. I was like, maybe I'll cut back. So I cut back, had a migraine for a week, and then now with 1 cup a day, I stayed like the whole day. Is great.
And you quit taking Adderall.
And I quit taking meds. It's rough. My brain is all over the place. I was supplementing caffeine to take care of the brain function.
But when you were on caffeine and Adderall, you were still all over the place. What was your excuse then?
Not enough Adderall. Yeah. There's never enough, Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing. We are averaging about, I don't know, a little over 1,000. 12 wieners a week and a little over 1,200 people listening on just YouTube. And then iTunes is blowing up. So it's cool. Keep sharing, keep subscribing, and keep following you. You can follow me on Instagram if you want like super cool content, but you can also follow Jim on Instagram.
I try to follow you, and I just don't understand.
It's just a lot of logic left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I talked about how if J.R. Smith was on the Nuggets right now, they'd already have, swept the Spurs from stage, and I got booed yesterday. So people are still learning. They need to rethink the NBA in general.
Did you have tight Easter pants on yesterday?
They were my loosest pair that I wore just to be nice to everybody else. I wore a new shirt though, and it was super tight on my arms, and it was great.
Yeah.
It hadn't even been washed yet.
Ooh.
It's a good day. Yeah, and I went from Walmart to Target, so it was an upgrade for Easter. Dressed up.
I bought some new jeans.
You looked good.
From JCPenney.
You looked good.
They had a sale.
Did they really?
They did.
Did you wear those snake boots?
We don't mention the snake boots.
I love those snake boots.
No,
Thank you,
come
Jake.
on, stop, Jake.
Thank you.
I love them.
Oh,
Thanks.
oh, what did you love about them?
Dude, your balls have to be huge to stand on stage and wear those snake boots.
No.
That's all I got to say.
This guy.
No.
It doesn't matter if they are or not. People think they are.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
that's
all
true.
perception.
Which is what I shoot for all the time, perception.
No. So I mean, so those boots were a gift.
Yeah,
Right? From a guy, and it's like I can't believe he's wearing that expensive of boots. I was like, that snake had already died.
It's true.
That snake, they didn't die for me.
Yeah.
No.
And I didn't but I hate snakes.
In fact, that meat was probably sold to a casino for $30 a pound.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
And then they probably came to your church.
Yep.
They lost so bad at that casino, they came to church in desperation. They found Christ, and you baptized them.
Yep.
Because
it's
of
a
those
cycle.
boots.
It's a cycle.
Yep.
I don't know if that is true, but we could go with that story.
Well,
I can't debate it, so we can.
You're innocent until proven guilty.
That's true.
And so that's true until you prove it's not.
That's a good point.
Thanks for baptizing that guy.
Yep. Hey, our pleasure.
That's what we're here for.
Win more people to Jesus. That's our
Right,
goal.
wear more snake boots.
No, I don't know about that. If
Yep.
I wear those snake Vans, that would be cool.
Do they really have snake boots? Hey, have you heard about that website that tracks pastors and their shoes?
Yes, I've heard about it.
I don't want to end up on
I
there.
hope you end up on there.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Preachers and
Sneakers. I didn't even want to do a shout out to it, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's already out there.
It's already out there.
Somebody told me, oh no,
Don't be on there.
don't be on there.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna go down, I'm
to be honest with you, that would be an honor. If he posts those boots, that would be an absolute honor. That's better than any Nike or anything that's out there for sure.
Yeah.
Except you're on a website with Chad Veach at that point. I don't know if you want that.
Remember last week we talked about that guy that gives up and walks down the street in his dress shirt and his Speedo?
That's you.
So I'm going to put those boots on.
That's a good point.
Snake boots, a Speedo, and a button down
up.
tucked in, and a hat, and a metal detector on the beats.
Yeah,
there's
and
a day
acoustic
when,
guitar.
a ukulele. Over the top, with only 4 strings.
Yeah.
So there's a day when, I mean, you work out, right? You try to.
Occasionally.
All right.
Yeah.
And I try to, but there's a day where you're going to go, I'm done. You know, just let it go, man. And then that day is I've got my outfit picked out. I'm going to go to the pool, Cole.
Yep.
I'm gonna wear snake boots.
Done.
Speedo.
That'll be a good look that day.
It'll be a good look.
I'm picturing it now, and I can't wait.
I hit that day about 25 right after my 4th kid, so
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, so this is Jake. Hey, this is Jake Bodine. So I get to know Jake. When we've had that lunch. Hunter, you there?
yeah, probably about a year ago now.
Yeah, and so some mutual friends got us together. So Jake, you're the founder of God Behind Bars, and Flatirons just kind of jumped in with God Behind Bars, and we have a lot of people that listen to us don't necessarily go to Flatirons, and so I want to talk a little bit about that. So God Behind Bars is it's more than a prison ministry. That seems so simplistic because when I hear prison ministry, it's a church goes and does something special and then leaves. And that's not what this is. So, so kind of tell us who God Behind Bars is real quick, and how you even had this idea to even begin this.
Yeah. So God Behind Bars, basically our main goal is to introduce people to Jesus and to the local church. And we do that by partnering with churches and launching campuses inside of prisons. But beyond that, we really try to give inmates that holistic life transformation. And so that's targeting their family and getting them reconnected with their kids, all the way to help preparing them with life skills, career coaching, whatever it may be, as they're exiting prison. Kind of addressing those needs on the inside, and then really walking with them once they're outside, getting them plugged into the local church, meeting some of their basic physical needs, such as providing them a fresh start kit that has toiletries, bath towels, grocery cards, anything and everything that somebody may need in order to be successful within that first couple weeks of their release is presented to them in that kit. And then a team of people that says, hey, we're for real about this. We love you. We weren't just talking, but we're actually going to link arms with you, and we're going to do this journey together. And so all encompassing, we kind of make the local church the concentrics of everything that we do, but it goes beyond just the spiritual component and meeting that need. We feel like that's the most important need to address, but there are other physical and emotional needs that need to be addressed as well, and our team tries to build innovative ways of addressing those things along the way.
Hey, so that's not typical. Like, so how did your idea of even engaging with I don't know what the right word is, offender, inmate, whatever, a man or woman that's in prison. So how did you go, first of all, I'm going to pay attention to this, and then end up with this holistic model. And then when you say partner with families, I want to unpack some of that. And then I've had some, really, I mean, Flatirons has just jumped into the deep end of the pool with this. So
yeah, you guys had over 400 volunteers sign up our very first weekend of announcing it.
Yeah, and we're trying to vet them all right now to go through training, and that's really good. And there are some people that I want to kind of maybe field some questions to. But let's go back to what got you even interested in this? Because you're a preacher's kid. I'm a preacher's kid.
Yeah.
How did you even start paying attention to this? Let alone get to a place where you're going. It's not just go in there, tell them about Jesus, baptize them, and then they're saved, and no matter what, they're going to heaven now. See you later. You keep on going, and so that's what got my attention. This holistic thing, Jesus fed people, healed people, but they all got hungry and died. Right. So spiritually, he took care of that, but he also said, "But this is important too, right?
Yeah.
And the kingdom of God's now, right?
Right.
And he cares about now. And so tell me your journey through even going. What got you interested in this part of Matthew 25, the least of these, the prisoner, and then how did you know it was more than just going and telling about Jesus and dunking them?
Yeah, well, I think I've always had a rebel's heart in a way. Like you said, Jim, I grew up as a pastor's kid in Las Vegas. It's not always the coolest thing in the world in Las Vegas to be a preacher's kid. And I went to a high school where it was probably more of an affluent area of town. But Vegas is kind of like a melting pot. Everything kind of stacks up on each other. You don't have different segregated areas of the city. You're rubbing shoulders and elbows with every kind of walk of life. And so I had friends that grew up in kind of that rich home, and then I had best friends that grew up in the poverty type homes to where they're literally either living with us. I had one of my best friends live with us throughout all of high school because his mom wasn't able to feed him or clothe him, all the way to some individuals that are exposed to the drug world and selling drugs along the way, even from a young age. And in fact, two of my best friends, the year that I was graduating high school, had been a part of a huge kind of drug bust in the Las Vegas area, and I'd played football with them since 6th grade. I was getting ready to go away for college football, and they had gotten in trouble from robbing a Walgreens for their opiates. And I knew these kids since 6th grade, so I knew that they were good kids. But at the end of the day, that they were trying to be successful or quote unquote make it, and they were just doing it in all of the wrong ways. And so God kind of, I think, made my heart fertile in that way towards this population of people. I think before that.
So they went away.
Yeah, they went away. In fact, I had one that didn't even make it to prison. From my senior year of high school to the end of my freshman year of college, I had over 44 friends die from either an opiate addiction or an opiate related crime. And so it was huge. Probably 1 in 3 kids in our high school were addicted to Oxycontin my year of graduating. So it was an actual epidemic that was happening in our city. And but yeah, one individual did not make it to prison. He was murdered before, but one of my best friends did go to prison in local prison in Nevada, and through that time, I was playing college football. I was down at Saddleback College in Mission Viejo, California, attending Saddleback Church. 2 different things; they're just in the same county. But I was going to church, and it was kind of the only thing that was familiar to me. I was kind of out of my element in an area of life where I was alone for the very first time, didn't know anybody. I was not the man any longer. And so even though growing up, being a part of the local church was kind of something that we just did. It wasn't something that we wanted to do. It was one of the things that was probably the most familiar to me in my vulnerability of feeling that loneliness. And so I started attending. And during that time, God just really started to speak to me. In fact, Rick Warren, I'm sure you're familiar with him if you're listening to this podcast, but if you're not, he's probably one of the greatest visionaries that the kingdom has ever seen. And
Purpose-Driven Life.
Yeah, exactly.
Big famous book, yeah.
Yep. So he's putting goals up like cure the epidemic of AIDS in Africa, things that the average person would never think of in their entire life. And more than anything, it was inspiring. And I started to look at church as being kind of relevant to the world versus irrelevant to the world for the very first time. And so I felt like I needed to go into ministry. I literally walked out on the football field the very next day after a church service. In fact, I was a part of a civil forum where he was interviewing President Obama and Senator McCain on their faith at the time, and during their 2008 presidential campaign. And I was like, all right, I'm going into ministry. I'm going to change the world like this. And I handed my coach my football helmet, said my heart's not here any longer. I moved back to Las Vegas.
Wow.
Started attending one of the multi-site campuses of my local church there. Started volunteering, and they gave me the level or the opportunity to lead the team that does the setup and tear down every single week as a volunteer. And I did that for about 12 months, just kind of learning the nuances of turning something that isn't supposed to be a church into a church on a weekly basis.
Yes, Cole deals with that every week.
Yeah. So that multi-site life, portable church. And at the time I was frustrated because I wanted to go into ministry, and I really didn't feel like that was the type of ministry that I wanted to be in. But now looking back, the hindsight of it, God was really preparing me for that next vision. And so in that moment, I was actually kind of just praying on what I was going to do next. My wife and I, we were having our second kid on the way, and I didn't know what I was going to do in life yet. My dad wanted me to go into local church ministry. I did not feel called to that.
What were you doing to pay bills then? You came back from college. You had a wife and a baby on the way.
Yeah. So I did what every guy going into ministry does, and I launched a production company that throws parties inside of bars on
Vegas.
on a weekly basis. So I had all the high school network, the college network. In fact, it was called Black and White Productions. It was a college fraternity brother that started it with me, and we'd go into bars that we knew that were struggling to get business, and we'd throw a big party and invite the whole network, and we would take a percentage of the sales that night. And so in fact, I was sitting there one night and I'm watching these girls dancing up on the bar and everybody taking shots. And I'm like, man, is this what you gave up your dream to play football for? It was to come home and throw parties? Is this what you're going to do the rest of your life? And so I went home and I challenged God, man. I got down on my hands and knees, like literally on my hands and knees. And I don't do that very often. And I was kind of like, God, show me what you want me to do. Like, I'm tired of struggling. If it's going to be the business world, I'm going to go in the business world. If not, give me something to do in the kingdom. And he answered that prayer pretty much the very next day. I kind of woke up with this burning desire and passion to really take the local church to inmates. I think a lot of it had to do with a couple of my friends being in that situation at that time. But I had gone over to my father's house that night, and they're all sitting around a fire pit, and they're talking about taking their church to the least likely places of the world. And they had college campuses, military bases, anything and everything that you could think of up on this easel. And I said, why not prisons? Everyone was kind of like, yeah, thanks, no thanks. Like, too much
dangerous.
Yeah, a little
we'd
too
rather go
hard.
to Africa or something.
Too much red tape.
Yeah.
It
Yes,
just
sure.
would never work. And the feedback that was coming was not necessarily that they didn't want to do it, or it wasn't that they didn't want to go and reach those individuals. It was more the fact that they didn't know how to do it. And so I went on a 6-month journey just kind of figuring that out. Like, what's available to inmates? What kind of ministry is available to the inmates? Why isn't the local church embracing this at the level that they should? And I put together this holistic kind of life transformational strategy that was like 10 steps at this time.
Yeah.
We've narrowed it down to 3, really trying to narrow our focus. But I had
What does narrowing your focus do with that?
from a standpoint of allowing us to, I guess, reach people in more of an effective way.
Ten's too many.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we try to be everything, right?
Yeah.
And we found out that you can only be good at a couple of things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we kind of went on a journey to where I presented this to a few individuals in the prison ministry industry, if you will. And one lady who was kind of on the up and up at the time, she was creating this entrepreneurship program that was getting a ton of traction from the standpoint of that they were turning inmates into entrepreneurs. And she was probably kind of the look-to program at the time. And I had presented it to her at Catalyst in California. And she was like, why don't you come move your family to Texas and do this alongside of us? We would love to partner with you in this way. And so it kind of, for the first time, was like, all right, this thing actually might work. There's a need for this. But at the same time, I didn't want to move to Texas. I have a brand new family with 2 little babies, and we've kind of made our life in Las Vegas. And so I had approached my dad about being our very first partner in church, and I had presented that entire holistic life transformational strategy. I think he really cared about that campus experience and
He
reaching.
didn't want his grandkids to move to Texas.
Yeah, probably more than
I
anything,
feel
right?
like, guys, no problem.
So they said yes to that, and on Christmas Eve 2009, we launched our very first campus inside of a prison. So,
Whoa.
That's cool. That's sick.
yeah.
So-
Is that a long enough story for you?
That's
great.
great. No. So tell me about, like, what are some of the, like, unforeseen things you've run into? Like, I didn't expect that to happen in a good and a challenging way.
Yeah.
You know, as you're going, because prisons are run by governments, and governments are notorious for being government, right?
Right.
And so the idea of a faith-based organization coming in and partnering with a government organization screams, this shouldn't happen, right? Wall after wall, after obstacle. You read stories in the Bible, God especially seems to be knocking walls down, right?
Right, yep.
So, like, what things did you encounter? Because we're going to encounter them, right? So it looks very, very almost for sure that Flatiron's going to partner with playing a campus in Lyman, right?
Yep.
As soon as everything gets lined up, and that just takes time. But
It better be for sure, because we just ordered all the equipment.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's for sure.
It's for sure.
Yeah.
It's for sure. I know. So, like, what are some of the walls that? Hey, here's what we're going to run into. Just be ready for that, and then I'm going to get to a couple of the. I think that they don't come from a suspicious place. They just come from a place of wanting to understand. I think we have some of the best language that I've heard. I don't know who gave it to me. Was rather than why are we doing this is help me understand.
Yeah.
And usually people are looking for help understanding about why we're doing this and how. But as you went into this new world as a faith-based organization, what were some of the things you ran into going, this is harder than we thought, and then this we thought was going to be hard, but actually maybe it wasn't. Does anything come to mind in those areas over the years you've done? Because how many campuses do you now have in prison?
Yeah, we have 44 campuses across the country.
Right. And you have a big goal too. What is your
our
dream?
Goal is to reach 1 million people a year.
Yeah.
Currently, last year we had about 250,000 in total attendance. But yeah, we're on our way to hopefully 5,000 campuses across the world in the next 10 to 20 years.
That's the world, not just the country.
Yep.
Yeah. So you've already talked to some places overseas, right?
Yep. So we even have about 154 different facilities contracted in South Africa, the UK, and Australia. We just haven't got there yet.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
So again, go back. So what we're about to walk into this. What should we prepare ourselves for that you go, I didn't see that coming, and then what, or maybe we're braced for that you said, actually it's not a big a deal.
Yeah.
Anything?
Well, I think that's kind of a two-part question, but yeah, we've gotten comfortable living in the tension of being uncomfortable. We're constantly swimming upstream in this industry. When it comes to technology, especially from the standpoint of being kind of the guys that are pioneering this campus-type experience to where we have this massive streaming capability coming into a facility to where they're putting 300-400 guys in a room at one time on a weekly basis. Obviously, there's a little bit of uneasiness there, especially when it comes from a security standpoint. And our team has really gotten good at knowing what the Department of Corrections needs and desires are, and then what our church partners' needs and desires are, and how we kind of paint that road in the middle of both so that they win and these guys win. And so we've had tremendous success throughout the country because of that. And I think that a lot of our Department of Corrections relationship have strengthened over time, because we are kind of the innovator pioneer of prison ministry when it comes to using technology and things. And we've really built a great trust with all of our Department of Corrections relationships due to the fact of how serious we take those things. But I think one of the most surprising things for me was not the challenge of winning over a warden or a director or a political figure on why we should have a deeper level of religious programming inside of correctional facilities, but it's really been winning over the chaplains. And that's concerning for me from a standpoint of multiple reasons, but the biggest reason being that it's kind of about us versus about them. And that's kind of what we face. It's that not all, but in some facilities that the chaplain is the first guy to kind of cut your legs out from underneath you. And really, when we should be supporting each other. That's our goal at God Behind Bars, is that we're not the way, that we're just a way, and that we're reaching as many people as possible, right? So, but that we're kind of that feeder system into getting them into a deeper relationship with Jesus, and that's where all of the other churches that are already doing ministry inside of these prisons, or the chaplains and the ministry that they have going on, that it's not a goal that we're taking from those different ministries. It's a goal that we're enhancing those ministries, that we're sending more people to them. And we really target the unchurched. So it's not that we don't care about those that already know Jesus. We absolutely do, and we want to provide opportunity for them to grow deeper in that. But our main focus is reaching those people that do not know God or have a relationship with Him at all, and introducing them to Jesus for the very first time, plugging them into a local church, and then helping provide that kind of faith-based foundation that allows them to be successful and stay on that walk once returning into the community. So
I think you have to give some value too. The chaplain side is they're there every day, and then here comes this big church from the outside. I think we have to really, really guard that. Here, obviously, we know what we're doing. I think we have to keep on using language like that, like, hey, we're just here to partner with you and enhance what you're doing, come alongside you. because then we're going to go home and then we'll be back next week. But they're there in between.
Oh, absolutely. They are the soldiers that are facing the battle every single day.
Yeah, but I would feel threatened.
Oh, absolutely.
Right,
yeah.
if somebody came into Flatters and goes, "Oh, okay, we're gonna show you how to do weekend service." I'm like,
Consulting always goes well here when we do that.
yeah, consultants don't last long here.
Yeah, I bet.
Especially when they're going, "Listen,
Yeah.
every church says it's special."
No, you guys really are special. Flatirons Church is a very special church. We get to see and witness many churches across the country, and I don't know that God's doing as much as He's doing through this church right now in a lot of churches.
Cole's
inside the United
almost
States.
become a Christian.
Almost.
That's
We're
awesome,
getting there.
man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
progress.
It's
It's progress.
Well, I think that's what I love about you guys too, and I think that's why you're going to relate so well inside of the prison system. Is that, I mean, you
so we put leaders in place that
Because we
can't.
should all be there.
well, and it's more the fact of you don't have to be put together to come to our church. It's come as you are, and let's figure this thing out together versus get your crap together and then come as you are.
Yeah, one of the things we were talking about before this is that we've had almost 400 people like apply to go that, and there's so many of them that have like a second page of, I need to tell you some stuff I've done. It's like all these, so I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. I've been arrested here. I've been done time here. It's like, I wonder if our percentage might be a little.
Yeah. When you throw out like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's when the meeting is. You have to pass a background check. I was like, okay, who on my team can go now because I can't pass that. So,
yeah. Hey, so here's a couple of feedback questions I've gotten from people. One, well, first of all, is like, so let's say we're there a year,
Right.
a year from when we launch.
Mm-hmm.
Like best case scenario, what's happening? What's the ministry look like inside and outside? Because you guys, you do some stuff with families too, right?
Yep.
So it's not just the men or women inside; it's also those family members that are at least within our scope of reach.
Yep.
Right? Because I mean, if they're from Florida or something like that, we can't really do a lot with them. You know, if they just got stationed out here or whatever. So like a year from now, best case scenario, what's this God Behind Bars Flatirons partnership at Lyman Prison consist of?
Yeah, really, we try to mirror the local church and everything that they're doing. So that God Behind Bars basically remains a season of their life. The local church is going to be the rest of their life. And so it's your DNA, anything and everything that you guys have within the local campus experience. It's our goal to replicate that back inside the facility.
So we're going to try to get weekend experience there, and then we're trying to get them into we call it rows and circles, right?
Yep.
So we want them somehow to be involved in an ongoing group of men.
Yep.
Creating that container to work through their stuff that parallels their own life and also what God's teaching through Flatirons, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And then from there, kind of getting their family involved. We feel like we can do a lot for the population that's already there, but the true impact's going to come from targeting this next generation and the entire culture that really has gotten them there in the first place. And so we have some family reunification stuff that we do throughout the year. In fact, you guys got to attend one of our events this last Christmas called All Is Bright. And basically we transform a church or a room or a facility into kind of this winter wonderland, high class Christmas experience to where the moms and dads that are incarcerated get the opportunity to invite their kids to a Christmas dinner, spend Christmas with them.
First time you walked into Flatirons, you walked into the lobby and went, "This would be perfect."
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, we would love to do that this year, in fact. But yeah, no, we basically transform entire night and design an entire night for them to have the entire Christmas holiday together as a family. And so from setting up a mock shopping mall to where mom and dad get to shop for free for quality gifts and pick them out specifically for their children to
like the North
wrapping
Pole.
them.
I saw it. It was it was like a conveyor belt. It was like a factory of wrappers and selectors and baggers. It was awesome.
That's the most stressful moment, but at the same time, the best moment for me of the entire night. I have 5 kids myself, and I know that watching the joy on their face as they open and rip through their Christmas presents on Christmas morning is so satisfying for me as a dad. I can't imagine for somebody that's been away from their kids for 2 to 5 years or meeting their kids for the very first time ever and watching that satisfying look on their face come from something that they did. how much deeper that cuts inside of them. And so, I don't know. For me, it is the most. It's my favorite thing that we do as an organization, outside of leading people to Jesus. But it's absolutely changing lives. I know that you guys got to witness that this year. We've watched moms be introduced to their kids for the first time since the day of birth, all the way to dads being introduced to their kids for the first time in 18 years. It's generational incarceration is a huge deal in our nation. In fact, they say that there's about 8.5 million kids in the U.S. that have a parent incarcerated, and that statistics show that 85% of them will most likely go to prison themselves. And so us kind of rebuilding that connection and letting dad be a dad and mom be a mom, not just for a night, but for a lifetime, and really kind of driving them into that relationship is what All Is Bright is all about. It's just the starter point. It's the igniter to a legacy that hopefully these men and women are going to leave for the rest of their lives.
A couple of things that you've talked about that I think are really cool too is, so your home church is Central out in Vegas, or Henderson.
I didn't know if I could mention that on the podcast. So.
No, Judge, awesome.
No, I'm just kidding. I didn't brand infringement or anything like that. No, I'm just kidding with you.
We're just one big brotherhood here, man. Same company, different franchise, right?
Yeah. All the same goals, right?
Yeah. I hope so. So one of the things that you do is, you told me that you have parking teams on different campuses, and you have one entire parking team made up of former inmates who've come back. That's what I love, is like they at Lyman, when I was out there, it's in the middle of nowhere, and so the gate opens up and it's just nothing, and so you got a few bucks in your pocket, and what you catch an Uber, or maybe someone will pick you up, but the church family is there to receive our men and women coming out, right?
Yep, that's that real life, like, hey, we're serious about this moment.
That chokes me up just picturing when I drove through the gate that they'll walk through. Yeah, I thought this is going to be a welcome home party.
Yeah, we call it a prodigal moment, or a prodigal party. So that basically that same experience of, like, we want to kill the best calf and throw the biggest feast for these individuals that are coming home, that we are welcoming them with open arms, celebration, saying, hey, we're for real about this moment. I think a lot of times with that kind of old style prison ministry that you were talking about, I call it hit and run ministry, to where they come in and they teach Jesus and then have no relationship outside of that, especially for these guys to plug into once they're out. It's almost portraying the hope of Jesus Christ as a mirage. Yeah. And so we show up and say, hey, this thing is real, it's tangible, you can touch it, you can feel it, and that we're going to be a part of this journey together. We're seeing so much success from that. Like you just described, we have about 100 individuals that serve on Central's parking team, and all of them are guys that have come through or are going through the God Behind Bars ministry. Awesome. And so it's the first face that you see when you're going on Central's parking lot. I kind of roll down my window and knuckle bump these guys on the way in, but it's turned into something that it's a family, and these guys are taking next steps. They go through their what they call it, their first step program, to where they're learning about tithing and plugging in on that level. They've joined their Celebrate Recovery ministry out there and are loyal to that on Friday nights. They're really jumping in to change their life. And I don't think it's anything different that we're doing or anything special that we're doing, but it's more of the local church kind of joining arms, saying, hey, we love you, you're welcome as you are, and we're going to be a part of this journey with you.
That's the difference. So when we go to Afghanistan, we go back over and over, and they'll say things like, so the UN shows up or this group shows up, but you all keep coming back. Why do you come back? And I think it's that what we're not doing anything special, it's relationship based as opposed to project.
Yeah.
These men and women are not projects. They're our brothers and sisters.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. So there's so much more I want to get to, and we just don't have time. But let me get to one question that I think it comes from a good place, but maybe a painful place. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure the same thing happens in your home church too. So we have a lot of people who have been the victims, whose families have been really, really seriously hurt by the very population that we say we're going to point a whole bunch of time and minutes and effort and dollars towards the very men and women that ruined your life. And that's a big hurdle. I think we have to honor that and acknowledge that. You know, it's not like, oh, Jesus, forgive him. So, you know, it's like, it's hard. Okay. So if you had somebody sitting here right now going, I still have so much hurt and anger about what happened in my family, and this brings that up, I'm really trying to figure out how to engage with this. what words would you give them just to maybe think about? We talk about we got to rethink some stuff, even the stuff that makes sense right now, but we don't want to get stuck there. So what would you say to, or maybe there's a story, I don't know what it is, to go, okay, here's what I want you to think about why this might be a good thing.
Yep.
Same with, I have a bunch of law enforcement here.
Yep.
I have a ton of law enforcement officers and their families who are like, these are the people that try to kill my husband or my wife, my son or daughter puts their life for these people. So how do we, as a church community, get past that going, but it's still worth it? That's like 50 questions.
Yeah, no, I don't know that there's any one right answer, but for me, and I guess in my opinion, number one, I think that the victims of family members or personally who have been affected by these individuals that are incarcerated have every right to feel the way that they do.
Yeah.
And in fact, I would probably feel the same way in many situations. And I don't think that we should discredit that or tell them that they shouldn't feel that way. I think that everyone grieves in their own way.
Sure.
And is going to be a part of their own process. But what I would encourage them to do is almost like God stand in the gap and use this as a part of that healing process. Maybe it's stepping out, and maybe it's just stepping out as far as accepting this idea, or maybe it's getting involved with this idea. Not necessarily the individual that has hurt them or offended them, but maybe somebody else, and allowing them to kind of have some sort of closure or relationship to that. But I would say that in the way that we honor them in this way is that the more individuals that we can introduce to Jesus, change their life, and help prepare them for that successful new beginning, I think the true honor from us to them comes that they aren't ever able to victimize anybody ever again, from the standpoint of or offend somebody again, that they've completely changed their life, that they've turned fully, repented and walked away from anything that they were doing before, in hopes that no one else has to go through what that individual or that family has gone through. And then from a standpoint of law enforcement, I know that that's a big issue on both sides of the map, right? So from the crap that law enforcement has to deal with on a daily basis with some of these individuals in the streets, like you said, some individuals who have true mental health issues are just so far gone that don't really even deserve credit to be talked about, but that they've hurt these law enforcement members in a huge way. At the same time, on the other side of the spectrum, where family members, especially kids, don't understand what's happening, even though dad has been a dummy and has messed up and done some bad things, all they see, the side of it, is that law enforcement has come in, they've kicked my dad's butt, and they take him away from me, and so they become the bad guys. And so there's a whole, probably holistic, restorative justice movement that needs to take place across our country. You've seen it in the last few years that law enforcement has really been attacked. I want you guys to know that we absolutely support them, stand with them, love them, appreciate them for everything that they do. And it's unfortunate the way that our country has been towards them in the past few years. But I think that what we can do to honor both sides of that equation is to really bring them together. And we've done that in Las Vegas this year. We did our very first ever trunk or treat event around the Halloween holiday. We partnered with the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, and we brought in about 50 squad cars, the SWAT car. We, in fact, pretty much had every first responder there. There was medics and fire department as well. And we allowed each officer the ability to kind of decorate their squad car in their own personal way, and they got to stand at their squad car and allow the inmates to take their kids around to each squad car and trick or treat out of the back of them. And for us, it was kind of blurring those lines of us against them, right? Like, hey, we know that there's two sides to this equation. We know that we aren't always happy with you and you're not always happy with us, but at the end of the day, everybody deserves a second chance.
That's for sure.
Everybody deserves to be loved and cared for. And I think that if we can build that bridge to overcome that gap of that we're against you, and versus that we're for you and we're for this second chance. We're here to protect the community. That's kind of the picture that we're trying to paint. And then re-identifying in those little kids' minds, that next generation that's growing up with that kind of predisposition to hate our law enforcement, and re-identifying that to show them that they're heroes of our community, that they can be trusted, that they love you and they care about you, is really the idea of bringing that entire event together. And so we've seen great success from that. It was huge for the Las Vegas community. I know that we would love to grow out across the country and doing more of that. But ultimately there needs to be some sort of restorative justice that comes on both sides of that equation when it comes to that issue and addressing that issue moving forward. So
that's great.
So good.
That's really good. Thank you.
Yeah.
You caught a red eye out here, and you got some other stuff you got to get ready for training, because training's coming this week, and got your crew over here. And
yeah, thanks for having us.
the guy on the other table, that's John C. He refuses to propose. We just have to call that out every
time.
Yeah.
It's not the case. I don't refuse. It just hasn't happened yet.
Just has a plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Road to hell. Good intentions paved. Something I don't know. You might want to rethink that, John.
We got a guy on our team, Mark, who's dealing with the same stuff. So
Oh, they're sitting next to each other.
yep,
That's how it works out.
You could.
he sleeps
Compare
with
notes.
one eye open, looking for his girlfriend to text all night long. So
Wow.
He's just shaking his head.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. We all have a John C in our life. Yours, his name is Mark.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for being here.
hey, thank you guys.
Can't
for
wait to
having
see
me.
what God's gonna do.
It's gonna be awesome.
All right. See ya.